Good morning, afternoon, or evening. Welcome back to another episode of Only Dead Fish Go with the Flow. Now, before we start, have you liked and subscribed? Because you are really important, especially to me, and especially when you like and subscribe. So I'll just wait here until you have. Okay, thank you. Anyway, without further ado, welcome to your weekly reminder that only dead fish go with the flow. This week, I'm back in person, which I really enjoy doing them in person because I get to sort of be nosy in other people's houses. But I am sat down with Louise Buttler, who is owner of LB Pilates, owner and instructor and brainchild, and I'm trying to think of all the different titles you must wear.
Mum, wife, business owner, Pilates instructor, Louise. I also have a lot of nicknames which I won't share.
You're like, I'll save those for later. Maybe when we're more warmed up in the podcast, we're like, and then they called me that. So today we are chatting about Pilates and business, I guess, in a nutshell. Would you like to sort of name and explain what you do or how you do it and what it looks like for you?
Sure. Thank you, first of all, for having me.
You're very welcome.
I am a Pilates instructor. I own a business called LB Pilates. We're an online app, which actually was founded during COVID. My husband and I were doing it on Instagram, and we got put on Good Morning Britain, and I had a moment to share with everybody that we were moving every day for 25 minutes whilst my daughter slept. At that point, she was she was a 1-year-old. And from there, we got about 600 people joining us for Pilates every day. And then, I know, like the rest of the world, realized that COVID wasn't going away. I felt like maybe I could see if I could start a business through it and make some money. And that's when I set up an online platform, and then the online platform became an app. And yeah, since then I've kind of built a business and a team. I didn't set out to do it, and now, that's what I'm doing. But actually, kind of goes back to, I kind of need to share my story of kind of discovering Pilates, because I came out of university, worked for Adidas, and then my mum got diagnosed with breast cancer. And she was actually really poorly. She had mastectomy, lymph nodes removed, was going through chemo, radiotherapy, and I decided to go and live with her for a while, whilst I was still working for Adidas. And she did Pilates during her treatment.
Oh.
And she'd done it before her treatment and during her treatment. So I thought it'd be nice to go and do it with her as well. And that's when I discovered the power of Pilates. And it was her instructor who just had that, she had that knowledge, she had that, this amazing way about her. And I thought, God, she's got this room full of 30, 40 people all going through their own, their own thing, their ailments, their challenges, and just being able to give the physical, the mental, the emotional strength to people. And then I kind of talked to her about it and wanted to find out like how she trained. And then I realized that it's not just something that you can do overnight. It's full on, physiology, anatomy exams. It took me a good year to study and do the exams. And that's when my husband and I, he's actually an international cricketer, so he was traveling a lot.
We're keeping his name out until a bit later. We're making it all about you to start with.
Okay, that's the next bit. But he, this is a time in our life where he was away from me a lot. And collectively, we decided that it would be really nice for me to start something myself, so that when he was away, I could manage my own diary. So I was flexible enough to go and travel with him. So it kind of all started in a front room in London, and I had a nice little client base back in, well, we were in Clapham then, so that would have been back in 2017. And then it sort of just all happened from there. It went from in-person studio to then COVID, building an online platform to then having my own. We're now out of London in the Cotswolds, and now I have also in-person studio. But it's really interesting because since then I've now got 3 children, and I realise that there's so many people that it's a challenge to get to the gym. It's a challenge to like find time, even like time for an hour to go to the gym or work out, especially with children, and your time is so limited, that building an app that people could just do at home with an expert and know that they're safe and they're moving correctly. And that's kind of what I've set out to do. And that's...
And also I've spoken to a few different people recently about, having a disability and going to a gym, and the gym not actually catering for, like, there's a step outside. So if you're a wheelchair user, you're instantly, before you even go through the door, not able to get into the space, or the lift's not working, or whatever it is. So having the option to do something at home where you have everything you need.
Yeah.
And you've also got an expert
Well, that's the
at
thing.
hand.
When you've got an hour, well, the time you've driven to the gym and you're stuck in traffic, or as you say, you can't park, or there's limitations to get into a gym, then suddenly you've only got 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whereas actually you can, for us, that's why I've built this, is that you can open the app and all you need is a little bit of space, and you could even if you've got 10 minutes, you could just do 10 minutes whilst the bath is running, or if you've got longer, you could do half an hour while your baby naps. And I think, like, for me, I've become really, like, I think, protective and of women in this stage of life. I'm 35, and we do, especially now having children, I feel like we often get pushed down the pile of, our wellness, our health gets pushed down and lower, even though it shouldn't be, because there's always so much other things to do. So what I want to take away is that that decision making that people have to have. What workout should I do? Like, what equipment do I need? The app that we've built is literally, you just click on it, and day by day you can follow a program, and it's only 25 minutes of your day. So yeah.
No, it's really lovely. Would you like to sort of I was just thinking when you were saying that about my mum, who's had her 4 children, and we're all now grown up, and a lot of the time we're all sort of like going in and out of mum and dad's house still, and she's like, you're all grown up, you're all 21, get out, in the nicest possible
she
way.
must miss you, though.
I think she does miss us, but she's also like, we've done this now, and you're all grown up, and you can
do your own washing now.
You can do your own washing. And I think when we are all in the house, there's like a cooking rota. There's like, who does Monday, who does Tuesday, who does Wednesday, and everyone's like in charge of a day. But definitely, I think there's lots of people that would resonate with like being pushed down the pile. And it's so funny, my mum now being at the other end's like, no, I'm at the top, bugger off.
Yeah.
Like, you're all old enough, go away.
Oh my God, but there's nothing like your mother's cooking. Like, my mum's cooking still. I'm like, Mum, I love going home and like smelling the food in the kitchen. And when she comes to stay, I'm like, I mean, she's amazing. Like, she always looks after me. But yeah, I do think once the kids are older, and I think now that I'm a mum, I think, wow, Mum, like, what you did for us is just incredible. So I hope one day my 3 will, look after me and cook for me. So
It's not like, I'm not going back home, Mum's cooking awful. No. It's always burnt.
Yeah, exactly.
The fire alarm's always going off. That would be our house. Our fire alarm is always going off. Our toaster is awful. I think maybe when Mum and Dad retire, I'll buy them a toaster. Dad's always just like fixing it. It'll be fine. It's like, no, I think it
next birthday present,
maybe next birthday. Although I think you should never buy Mum or Dad like an item for their home. It should always be like a nice thing that you never would buy yourself. Like, I remember my husband Matt bought me a duvet cover for my birthday once, and I just like threw a complete fit.
They say that, don't they? It's like, don't get me something that I need, something that I want, or that I wish for.
Ridiculous.
But I think, I love a practical present. I sometimes think for my children, I think, oh, poor little things, what they got for Christmas. It's just me thinking of how to be so practical. Like their new, I don't know, their new raincoat, which they find so boring. But for me, I think, no, it's essential.
Each their own, you know? Each their own. I think my youngest brother got like 20 foot of rope one year for Christmas, and it was like the best Christmas present he'd ever had. So, you know, don't yuck other people's yum. So when I picture Pilates, I've done like active mobilization before with sport where, you know, you're doing dynamic stretches and whatever. And that is kind of where my Pilates understanding just fails. So would you be happy to sort of talk us through Pilates and what it is?
So I actually had a really broad answer. So I wanted to see what Google said originally of how Google defines Pilates. And Google defines Pilates as a low-impact holistic exercise system developed by Joseph Pilates that focuses on strengthening the core, improving posture, increasing flexibility, and enhancing body awareness through controlled movement. So however, I describe Pilates as an education to how you move.
Okay.
So in Pilates, it's all about the principles of Pilates. So there's breath work, there's control, there's balance. So rebalancing, precision, alignment. So it's basically moving your body in a precise way so that over the years, our body can become really unbalanced. So from any kind of sport you do, you might be right-handed. You might swing a golf club right-handed, so you're always rotating in one direction. So what happens is the right side of your body, the muscles might shorten, and the left-hand side of your body might lengthen. So we become out of balance. So what Pilates does is every exercise, every movement, every flow we do is very precise so that you rebalance muscles. And when you rebalance muscles, they're then able to function in an efficient and effective way. And then the other thing about Pilates is you work a lot with your breath. So breathing, I used to really underestimate, whereas it's kind of like the number one thing of Pilates, and it really controls the movement. And I think people underestimate the power of breath, but a breath goes so much like deeper into like all the systems in the body. So our nervous system, our respiratory system. And then the other thing, and then I guess Pilates is low impact. So as you get older, I see a lot of clients now who have possibly they've put their muscles, their bodies under too much strain and pressure over time. And they're now getting problems with their joints and their backs. And Pilates, because of that low impact movement, you're able to keep strong for longevity, for like a long time. I think as well in sport, it's really interesting, like more and more they're doing it as a preventative. It's
like prehab.
So instead of coming and doing Pilates as rehab, they're now doing it to prevent injury. So they're doing it alongside their training, alongside their running. And I mean, the feedback I get from sportsmen of just how, you know, much their endurance has improved, their power has improved, because Pilates, you work all your small intrinsic muscles. So these are all your little stabilizing muscles, and they stabilize your joints. They're much deeper into your core, so they support your spine, your pelvis. So then everything functions the way it does. You weren't expecting such a long-winded answer, were you?
No, it's fine. I'm listening because I know I need to start doing some sort of Pilates or yoga for my arthritis.
Okay,
so I'm like,
yeah,
because as things have started to like settle down, I'm like more inclined to like go into an environment like Pilates or a gym. Initially, when everything was like super inflamed with my RA, I was like, going into a gym was like the worst thing, because I was like, I know exactly what I'm doing. I have 10 years, 12 years, however long, of either programming for other people in a coaching sense, or like doing it myself in an international sense. Like I know exactly what I'm doing, but I can't do it. And also going into a gym, as well-meaning as everyone was, there's so many people like, oh, what injury are you carrying? Because I might be limping or whatever it was. And it was every time I went into the gym, somebody else would recommend a different physio or a different this or a different that to like fix the ailments that they saw. So I just got to the point where I was like, I just don't want to go in the gym because I know exactly what I'm doing, but I just can't face like the questions or the recommendations or
Interesting. You
so
know what worked for your body.
yeah.
How
So now I'm at a point where it's like everything is settled down. I'm in a much better physical state now, but I need to start looking into like Pilates or yoga. It's like low impact, but also like I sort of visualize it as a quieter space.
You know what? It's so interesting because I used to really do the Pilates when my mum, even my husband used to do it, and I look at them and think, you're not really doing much.
You're like, you're not getting a workout
Yeah,
in.
but it's not until, I mean, I'm in the best shape of my life, and I used to do HIIT, I used to do hockey, tennis, everything. I still love ball sports, but like I used to, go and hammer it in the gym and sweat and everything. But what I didn't realize is actually I'm just adding more and more cortisol, whereas actually Pilates, it's amazing because a lot of people walk into my studio and say that they just want to be flexible. And I say, you're going to wait, you're probably going to be the strongest you've ever been from Pilates because it gets much deeper into your muscles, into your core than you do in the gym. And because you're doing it correctly, you see results much quicker. So I will get you in the perfect position so that you only have to work that muscle for a short amount of time for it to then actually do, then you see the change very quickly.
It's really interesting. I'm kind of, this podcast is obviously for the podcast, but I'm kind of doing my own research at the same time.
I know. Well, you'll have to come and do some, or I'll get you signed up on the app.
Oh, exciting. Do you have a worst part of running the business or Pilates?
I think it's an interesting one. I think when you first reached out to me and we had a little chat about this, and you said to me, like, go away and have a little think about the business and kind of even the pros and the cons of it. And it's actually something that I hadn't really sat down and thought about properly before. And it's actually really cathartic, like writing it all down. And I think the challenges, the problems move through phases of the business. So when I first started the business and I started the online platform, I felt like I was putting out fires constantly, and I was kind of hiring people because the team was growing quickly, and it was sort of like whoever could help me, like friends, anyone. So that was challenging in itself. Just kind of, I felt like I kind of fell into it without really having a plan. So I was a real yes man. I was just like, yeah, I'm going to say yes and try and like figure it out, which I did. Now I feel like the challenges have changed because I think I've established a good, a good business. But now I'm at that stage of growth where I want to always like continue to grow. And, I'm now a leader. I have a team to manage. I have to, the responsibility is on me. So if this doesn't succeed at the end of the day, people aren't going to get paid. And so there are those added pressures of other people's salaries and their their well-being. And but I absolutely adore it. I'm so passionate about Pilates and the power of it, and I love just the feedback I get from people on my app or people who come to my studio, and that just keeps me going all the time. Like, to receive messages to say you've actually pretty much transformed my life, like, is one of the best things I could ever, and that's what keeps me going. And don't get me wrong, like, owning a business means that you think about it 24/7. Like, it's like all the time. It's there. It's, you go on holiday, but you're always having to be thinking and kind of working. It doesn't ever stop. But it's yours, so it's
special.
yeah, it's special. And I've been lucky enough to be able to get it into a position now. I have a really amazing MD who I'm able to now really focus on the children. So when I'm home and I'm with the children, I'm very present. I'm able to be fully with them. And then it's amazing. Like when now a mum, if I've got an hour working, what I get done in an hour is incredible because I know I've only got an hour to get X, Y, and Z done. I've become, like, I think, much better with time management now. Like I feel like even though I've got more and more and more to manage, somehow you cope and you find more space and more
I was
time.
going to say, when you saying about MD, how was it like putting control over to somebody else?
I think a lot of founders would say the same.
Very
you know,
hard.
you start where you are wearing so many hats, you're figuring it all out. And actually, it was one of my best friends was with me. She used to be in the event space. She still is in the event space, but at the time she was on furlough during COVID, and we would figure it out. We'd be up till midnight doing all these things. And at that point, I was wearing so many hats. And then it got to the point where I was like, okay, I need to now offload some of this work. And yeah, it's a big step.
I was also going to say, pre-COVID is pre-ChatGPT as well. So you are literally
you're doing
figuring it out. You're putting it into Google and you're trying to read everything you can find.
Yeah. And also because it's an online platform, it's an app, it's technology, which I would not say I'm brilliant at. So that was a whole new thing in itself, just the tech side of things. But look, one of the things somebody said to me is that you don't need to know everything. You just need to hire the people who know what they're doing and they're really good and they're specialized in that. And then you let them do that. And that is the point. And that's what you've just got to trust. And then you've got to somehow kind of be the middleman and be the glue. And then, then I was in a position to have a managing director who basically now I call him the boss. Like,
I'm your boss, but you're my boss. What?
Yeah, exactly. They're kind of my.
Those are your best and worst.
Best and worst, yeah.
I think, being able to like ask somebody else to do something is terrifying. Like I've drawn some sketches and stuff of designs that I've had printed and sending them off to the sticker man and being like, are you actually going to print these properly? Or like, don't print these until you've sent me a sample or whatever. Like, obviously that's good practice anyway, but at the same time I'm like,
no, exactly. But one thing that I love now is that I'm still able to be creative. I still do the crux of this business is Pilates. So my creativity around the Pilates, the programming, whether we're going to be launching a new pre and postnatal program in April. And what I love is that I can bring all my ideas and my programs and then present it to the team, and then they go off and then they turn it into something, which I'm like, that's awesome now, is that I can still be there and like, it's my ideas, it's my strategy essentially, but then I've got other people to then go away and then bring it to life, which
I feel like I was reading something today and it was a job description. It was like, must have excellent attention to detail. And I was like reading it as someone who's quite dyslexic a lot of the time. And I was like, I have excellent attention to detail, but my spelling lets me down every other day, every hour of the day. Who am I kidding? And so to be able to like go to a group of people and be like, this is my idea, and then being like, you've spelled that wrong and we can do this and we can do this and we can make this all better. And you're like, perfect, you do that.
And you should never let dyslexia hold you back.
No, I definitely haven't. But up until, my God, I used to spell with WHITHE as a child because somebody told me that like the E was the magic letter. And if you weren't sure, just to put it on the end of everything. And then for some reason, I was like, with needs an E and an extra H. So, oh God. But yeah.
I mean, I still read back my notes and think, what on earth have I just written? So
it's crazy.
If anyone read my stuff, I don't know what they think.
It's a crazy world to live in, the dyslexic one, because you can just create whatever you want and you read back and be like, this makes no sense and I have no idea what's going on. We do have an ick, and we thought we'd go down a slightly different route today because we have sporting husbands in common, and we thought we would go down the route of the wag ick. So from our perspective as a wife and girlfriend, or wife or girlfriend, whatever it is, I think there's now like more of a gender neutral term, but I can't remember what it's called.
I don't know.
I feel like it's like it's like partners and, I don't know, partners and people, or perhaps I need to
I have to look it up.
So
Are we still allowed to say wags? I think they still say wags,
yeah,
don't they?
wags.
In the
And what's
the Daily Mail?
Yeah, there must be a boyfriend and hags, boyfriends
Hags,
and
husband, yeah. Husbands and habs?
Habs.
Husbands and boyfriends?
Habs and wags. Yeah, there we go.
Habs and wags.
Habs
I don't
and
think
wags.
I don't think
Maybe
I've heard
we've made that
before.
up. That's the wonderful world of dyslexia. Just like, someone can comment and correct us if you feel so inclined. We were going to go down wag X. I am more than happy to start us off. So Matt is part of the Olympic rowing team, and for the rowing team, as you probably know, there are lots of rowers who listen to this podcast. They wear a glorified uni suit for training, a lycra uni suit, and I'm going to kick that off as an ick.
Wow. As in with the tight shorts all in one, and then the sleeves.
No sleeves.
No sleeves. Oh, is it kind of like a tank?
Yeah, it's kind of like a tank top. A tank top with hot pants. But yeah, I think that in itself would be an advert to do Pilates.
Yeah.
Men in uni suits.
Right, men in
leotards. Would you like to throw an ick into the pot?
My ick. So my husband is a cricketer, and he spends a lot of time abroad in hotels. And my ick about him is when I first arrive in the hotel room, if the hotel room hasn't been cleaned, it is revolting. I'm like, I'd like to think was like brought up quite well, and
you know how to wash.
Yes. I mean, oh my God, the amount of just like grubby socks and clothes, and I don't even want to say what else.
And also, I was going to say, cricketers wear thongs.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw that out there.
Yeah.
I'm going to call that a thong. I don't care what label they put on it. It's a thong.
But they also wear these like big kind of pants things, which are like, I describe them as a pair of pants like a 6-year-old would wear, but like giant. And I think that's where they put their box.
Okay.
But yeah, those lying around, even boxes, like, I mean, it's not to be honest, when the kids are like playing around with his cricket bag and stuff they pull out, I'm like,
put that down, you might catch something.
Exactly.
It's literally about to walk out of the bag itself.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So I think it's got to be just hotel rooms when I haven't been there, and then if they haven't been cleaned, just absolutely revolting.
The kit bag that comes home after being abroad. I think when they went to China at the World Championships, they didn't have washing machines, so they either had to wash it all in the sink or like take enough out that they didn't have to wash anything, but it did mean that all came back as like a literal biohazard.
Wow. I feel like that sounds like it needs to just go straight in the bin.
Yeah.
So cricketers, they tie knots in their cricket trout. So after they go,
they tie knots.
They tie knots, and then
inside out, and then you fill your kit up.
You fill the kit up.
Yeah.
Maybe all sportsmen do that.
I've done that as well.
Sometimes, so if they've been playing at night, for example, in India, where they've sweated for 5 hours, so it's sopping wet, and then they might leave it for 24 hours, and then it's like, oh my God, this is pungent.
It's disgusting. And he like comes in, drops it on the floor, and it makes a nice splat sound because it's so wet.
Yes.
Gross. Absolutely gross. We'll move on from X, but I just thought it'd be funny to have a good moan about it because it's disgusting. We have our main section, which is our hill to die on. We sort of discussed that we would do Pilates is not just like Pilates princess aesthetic. Like these are the legit benefits of it.
So I think Pilates is having a moment at the moment. It's really taken off, which I love seeing, the fact that it's on every street corner at the moment. It's all over social media. It is the workout. And there's a reason why it is the workout, is because people have copped on to the fact that it is so effective, and it's, you know, it's for longevity, and it's also an exercise that you take up and you do become addicted to. You don't, you know, you look forward to doing it, as opposed to thinking, oh goodness, I need to go and train hard in the gym and I really don't want to do that. I think that's why people really love it and stick to it. But something that is, you know, I think that I find challenging at the moment is that there's a lot of people now wanting to become qualified as Pilates instructors. And I think the barrier to entry is much lower than it used to be. So before, you know, like I mentioned before, I studied for a long time and I had to do all my exams, and I've kept studying. You know, I take pride in that. You know, I feel like the human body, the anatomy, there you can never know too much. Every single body is different.
Say female anatomy as well.
Exactly.
They're
And
still working it out.
We have a responsibility as a Pilates instructor, that we have to keep people safe, and that they are coming to you because often we're trying to heal somebody and fix somebody. Whereas now you can become a reformer instructor in these gyms in 48 hours. You could do a weekend course, and then you could then be managing a room full of 20 people, which I personally just disagree with. I think it's irresponsible, and I think it's screaming danger and injury. And that's something that I do feel sad about, is even though Pilates, yes, can give aesthetically an amazing physique, which it does. You know, the best, you've just got to look at Joseph Pilates, who designed it. You've got to look at ballerinas. They all did Pilates. They all, you know, they have incredible bodies. But other than the aesthetics, there's become this sort of craze of what the lifestyle that Pilates brings, which kind of, in my eyes, it's like this Pilates princess. Like, to do Pilates, you've got to be drinking a matcha, you've got to be wearing the latest aloe gear, you've got to be taking selfies of yourself in the mirror. Whereas for me, is not about that. Pilates is there to make you stronger, more flexible, and it's for everybody. I'd hate that if somebody felt that they couldn't sign up because they didn't fit that stereotypical Pilates girl.
I was going to say, it's like the trend of it is almost creating a barrier to entry.
Exactly. That's what it feels like. And it's, you know, being in on it, it makes me sad sometimes. And I feel like in some ways it gives it a bad rep, because it's not doing the word justice. The Pilates is much more than just a sexy workout. It's not it's being made to be sexy. Which, and I do joke that I did it before it was cool, and now it's cool. It's like a cool, sexy thing to do. But I think when people really understand Pilates, then it's much more than that, like, aesthetic Pilates princess kind of.
It's really interesting that you were saying about like the quickness of the qualification now, because I've spoken to quite a few, well, obviously different guests, but there's been a reoccurring theme recently. I spoke to Mari McLennan, who runs a safe sport advocacy, a few weeks back, and she was saying about there is almost no governing body that sort of like, you take one coaching qualification that governs everything, and then you specialize in your sport or your Pilates or whatever it is. So like, people who are good athletes are then pushed into coaching positions, or like they might try Pilates after a sport and then be like, oh, I could qualify for that in 48 hours and then I could start teaching straight away. there's also, when I spoke to Marina, who was a few weeks ago as well, she was saying that in terms of a disability point of view, a disability qualification is an optional extra when you're learning to be a PT. So you don't even have to do it. So, and then for you to be like, oh yeah, well, the qualification, I spent a year learning, I'm constantly updating my education on all of these different elements I need to know about for Pilates. It's like quite interesting that there's that reoccurring theme where the like sport is not being policed in terms of who is actually delivering sessions.
And I think that is what is quite terrifying, is that you've got these influencers on social media, and because they've got that platform, they are now delivering information because maybe they lift weights, so they then think it's in there that they can then go and teach people to lift weights and tell people how to lift weights. But actually somebody who has trained to do that is watching that saying, but hang on, that's not correct.
That's wrong.
And now again, you have a responsibility, and the problem is as customers consuming that information from Instagram or wherever we're getting the information from influencers, it's I mean, I'm the first one to do it. I take things and then think, oh, you know, even a nutritionist, like now the barriers to, like for
food,
food, you know, lots of people giving advice when they're not actually trained in nutrition. And I mean, the noise, I feel like I'm often, you know, I will scroll and there'll be something about this supplement, and there's so much out there. And I think, you know, bringing it back to Pilates as my world is just, I think, I just hope people, you know, when they take up Pilates, do it in a safe space, and they learn the foundations correctly, so that then they, you know, then they can also enjoy the benefits and the results, like they should do.
Yeah. And we've got in my bullet points here, we have medical benefits, women's health, and myth busters.
I'm actually really excited to talk about this because it's something that we're working on as a team at the moment. So when I was pregnant with Charlie, my third, and I actually did it with Gigi and Maggie as well, I did a lot of filming like during pregnancy and then postnatally, because what I realized is that when you have a baby and when you're pregnant, there's so little information, there's so little support guiding women on what is safe and not safe to do during pregnancy and then after you've had a baby. And even in this country, you know, you go for your 6-week check, but it's not a thorough check. You are in and out of the GP in probably 10 minutes. It's a tick box exercise. And I feel really strongly about that because I think now a lot of my clients, the reason that they now do my Pilates is because of all the problems they may have had postnatally or post children 10 years ago, and now they're still battling whatever they've got because they were never looked after correctly or told what to do that was safe to then recover safely. So with all my pregnancies, and especially this last pregnancy with Charlie, so I had him, he's going to be 2 in May, so in a couple of months. I filmed all through all my trimesters and then postnatally, and we've now partnered with a pre and postnatal specialist, a nutritionist specialist, and the HCA. So we've got women's health physios and obstetricians who can give them medical advice for us. We've basically created a one-stop shop, like a 360-degree program that a woman can then sign up and then have like full access to everything that she will need during that journey for movement and you know, to keep her body safe. And that's something that we're working on now, which will launch in a couple of months. And I'm just really, really excited for that because I do think that there's so much that women don't know and that hopefully that I can support them on. Like, you know, how when you're pregnant, you know how much relaxin you have in your body, which is a hormone that stretches all your ligaments, and you know how much more blood you've got in your body. Well, what that does to your heart rate, and like what that means in like positions. And then postnatally, like what you can do, like even breathing, when you start learning the anatomy of like your diaphragm working, your deep stabilizing muscles, and working together just from your breath to your muscles, like just being able to educate people is just like the best job in the
Exciting.
world. Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
really exciting. Do you have sort of like 3 key? Because I really like when we have guests on that people can learn like, and they can go away with a fact and be like, I listened to podcasts and these are like the 3 facts that I learned. Do you have like 3 medical fact benefit, bits of data that you could share with us?
I do. I've got some things that people can think about. So in Pilates, we think about your spine, so spine mobility and the natural curvature in our spine, and keeping that natural curvature in our spine strong.
I say
And
as I'm like,
yeah.
So
No, I mean, look at me.
Yeah, important.
In today's world, because of the lifestyle a lot of us are leading, so being on our phones or computers
Laptop.
or driving a lot, we're becoming what's known very kyphotic. So our shoulders are forward and rounded. And what's happening is that our head is also forward. You know, we're leading a life that is, you know, we're always fast paced. So we're leading, you know, we walk with our heads forward. If you think of our head is the heaviest part of our body. It's like 5 kilograms. If you were to pick up a bowling ball and hold it, this is the analogy I use for people. If you were to hold a bowling ball above your forearm, directly above your hand, it'd be quite easy to hold on to, i.e. your head on top of your spine. So if it's in line with your spine, it'd be easy for your spine to hold it. If you were to hold that bowling ball in front of your forearm all day, think how tired your arm would be, and you couldn't really hold it for that long. So you ought to think of our head being forward from our spine, and our spine has to support our head at this angle. So if you're listening to this, think about the back of your skull always being in line with the back of your ribs. Okay. So when you're sitting, when you're standing, and that will bring your earlobes in line with your collarbones.
I feel like I've just done a Pilates class just from listening to that.
This is coming from more of kind of my juggle struggle of like being a mum and like the work and husband away.
Yeah.
I think this is something that I, you know, always want to share with people, is that write everything down, make your list, prioritize. It's so much easier when you can see it all in front of you of what you need to do. And I guarantee probably half of that can wait until tomorrow, or it can wait until next week.
Don't tell me. Don't tell me that. I'm awful. I forgot like something on my to-do list that was like meant to be done 4 weeks ago. I just keep moving it
Just
on
keep
to
going
the next
one. But that's the thing. There'll be other things that come up, and they can wait, because there's time in our life where suddenly it can feel so overwhelming, and actually, like, life's too short.
Yeah.
It can wait.
It can wait. My to-do list like hates to see me coming. You're like, it can wait. It can wait. Life's too short. It can wait. I'm like, yeah, damn right, it can. Do you know what? 6 months' time, that thing is still going to be there and still going to need to do it.
And then another thing that I think it's deliciously Ella Mills, who wrote in one of her cookbooks, and this has always stuck with me, to find 2 hours in the week where you can do some good cooking for the week, so that you've always got something good to eat, because good food is like the best thing that you can do for yourself.
Do you have a best fuck up that you'd be happy to share with the podcast?
Yes, this is actually something that my husband has shared on his podcast, which I feel like I'm going to share with you.
Fair game.
My biggest fuck up isn't actually related to Pilates or business. It is related to my husband, Joss. And everyone laughs at me for this, and it was even told by my father during my wedding. Probably happened about 9 years ago, and Joss was playing in India for an IPL team, and his hero, who is a South African cricketer called A.B. de Villiers, came and met us in the bar for a drink. And Joss said to me before we were meeting A.B., Louise, this is like my hero, my cricketing hero. Like, you kind of need to be cool. Like, you need to step up here. So I was like, yeah, always. Anyway, we went into the bar. We met AB, nicest, most charming man, having a drink, and he was chatting away, and he has a very strong South African accent. To which I said to him, I know there was a moment where there was some silence, and I thought I'd fill the silence. And I
I've
said,
got this.
and I said, so which part of New Zealand are you from? Bearing in mind, he's probably South Africa's best cricketer who's ever lived, like Joss's biggest hero. And Joss's world just basically ate him up. Like, Louise, how could you? So that was probably my biggest fuck up. But I mean, people dine out on that story, so it was worth it.
I think it's so worth it. I also think it's always funny, like, not purposely getting it wrong, but like, I love to go to a bar and tell like a little white lie. Like when I was part of the rowing, I remember going into this pub and we got into like a lockdown situation where the owner of the pub locked the pub, and then we were in, it was just like free drinks all night. And they were like, what do you do? And I was like, I'm a speed skater. I'm an ice speed skater, and I have come to this area because it's very hilly, and I'm doing hill sprints all week, and I'm a speed skater. And he was like, oh, right. I was like, yeah, I'm training for the Winter Olympics. And it was absolute bollocks. And so I'm here for, as soon as you've had a drink, to just be like, oh my God, your accent is so from New Zealand. Or just like wind someone up ever so slightly.
When you start a story, then you've got to keep going, don't you? So
yeah,
you
exactly.
would have had to be that speed skater forever.
Yeah.
My dad has such a good one, actually. He had somebody staying with them. He came, they were going to a party, and this guy they'd been out, I don't know, for, it was a 40th. And this guy came in, they were having a nightcap, and it was 2 a.m. or something. And my dad said, well, I'll probably be up for my run at 5:30, 6 a.m. before breakfast. Obviously joking. My dad is not a runner. He didn't realise that the guy that he was talking to at 2 a.m. was actually a professional runner.
So he's like, I'll see you there.
And anyway, at 6 a.m, there was a knock on my dad's door, and it was this guy who's staying with them being like, are you ready for this run? And Dad actually went off on this run with him. And then, apparently like they did about a mile, and then Dad like turned back, and then the guy was like, I'm going to go and do my proper run now. Anyway, Dad's learned his accent.
Humbled.
Yeah.
Absolutely humbled. Do you have a favourite moment in your sort of journey so far?
I think it comes back to when I receive those messages from people, and to read a message that says that you have helped me is the best thing. I've also had mothers who've reached out to me, and I think this is why I really feel strongly about supporting women at this stage of life. But I've had a number of women who've had really bad mental health issues, and them being part of this community and feeling like they're not alone, and that they join me doing lives and stuff, has given them structure and focus. And again, it's just kept them really, like, it's helped them. And I honestly, that for me has been the best part of this.
It is the most special part, is receiving feedback like that is the most. I've had a few messages to the podcast about episodes that have like really opened the door in terms of communication with a coach to their athletes, or like improved visibility of different role models and stuff like that, and that's been really special. It is the best thing. It is the absolute best thing.
You've just touched lives, so
we have 2 more questions which I think we are going to perfectly fit in. Do you have a Louise mantra that you'd be happy to share, or a saying that you always go back to?
My mantra is growth comes from doing things before you feel ready.
I love that one because I've seen another one which I wrote in my diary this week, and it said, if it's your calling, it will keep calling.
I love that.
I know. How nice is that?
Because I'm going to open up here. I've never spoken on a podcast before. So I was afraid, and it was something that, you don't know what it's going to be like until you do it. But you have to do the first podcast. You have to talk on a podcast. And it's just facing up to the fears. And it's exactly that. Like, you're not going to get better and you're not going to grow if you don't try it. And,
LB is about to start his own podcast now.
It's quite nice being the guest. We get asked the questions.
Yeah. But yeah, no, taking the first step is the scariest part. And then afterwards it's like, oh, this is actually fine.
Yeah. And that's the thing. You're never going to know unless you try. And that's, I think, being all around surrounding my business is that, I've realised that no one really knows what they're doing.
Yeah, I was going to say.
We just figure it out.
I'll tell you a secret. This is my first time hosting a podcast. Surprise! My final question, which should be a really easy one, and then I think we have nailed our time limit, is, do you have a soundtrack for the week, or like a song that you've been playing all week? This is the hardest question. Everyone fumbles with this one, because I don't include it in the notes. I'm like, I want the raw answer of what song.
Have you ever heard of Sunchime, Dario G?
No.
Okay, if you're having a shit morning and you just feel like you need a bit of life, especially as it's raining all the time, this is called Sunchime.
Oh, Sunchime.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
By Dario G. And it just makes you feel just the happiest song. And you can't not smile when you listen to it.
We have our Only Dead Fish playlist, and then everyone's song that they've suggested at the end of their podcast goes onto our playlist.
I love that.
So now you'll have that one. There's a real range that goes with Rhythm of My Heart, Rob Stewart, which is just bagpipes. So that goes in perfectly with the general theme of that playlist. So excellent.
Brilliant.
That is the podcast completed. Congratulations.
Thank you so much for having me.
The most terrifying thing. You're very welcome. And if anybody has listened to this and they want to find you, where can they find you? Not literally, but online.
So online, our website is lbpilates.com. Our Instagram handle is lbpilates. It's spelt ELBE Pilates. And I'm Louise Buttler. So I think as well, if you were to Google
me, you'd find me.
Yeah, you'd find me.
But leave me alone and only contact me via Pilates page.
Yes.
Let me live my life. Well, perfect. Thank you very, very much. That's it.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Only Dead Fish Go With The Flow. If you loved it and you can think of somebody that it's relevant to, then please send on. I'm a big believer that information should be easily accessible to anyone that might need it. You can follow more of our antics on Instagram at Only Dead Fish Podcast. We are also on TikTok, but you'll have to bear with me because TikTok is a lot harder than I thought it would be. Anyway, thanks so much for listening and chat next week. Bye.